Self-protection is the management of violence, the effective management of violence. Unfortunately, violence is often mismanaged, and the results of that can be quite dire, from illegal consequences through to life consequences. You can end up inside or you can end up underground, to put it very bluntly. Now, just to sum it up very quickly, violence can be divided up into two categories. I appreciate there might be a third one. In fact, I contend there is a third one, but we'll save that for a more nuanced vlog. So, in simple terms, we have predatory violence, we have social violence. Social violence comes from our pack instinct. As human beings, we are social animals. We operate best in groups. We do our best work in groups. Groups often require hierarchies, or they naturally formulate into hierarchical structures. And this goes back to very primitive times and also the nature of social animals. You look at most social animals and you will see competition between them, certainly between mammals at least. So with this in mind, we can understand that a socially violent situation is where an individual feels that they have to fight for their position in the group and they see you as their opponent. And that opposition has come about because you have slighted them in some way. And that slight has resulted in them feeling that they have been disrespected or been disempowered. And they're going to use violence in order to win back that respect, to win back that power. So that is a violent situation which comes from, simply speaking, people jostling for positions. And it's been triggered, if you like, because of something that someone feels you have done to them. A predatory violent situation is quite different. A predator looks at an individual as a means to get something. And there's a variety of different types of predators, and there isn't the time to go into that different variety of predator. However, for the most part, they're not looking at you as competition. Totally different. You are not their rival. You are their prey. So they're going to use violence against you to get something. So it might be stealing, it might be have a sexual intent.
It might just be gratuitous violence.
So there's a variety of different reasons why somebody might act as a predator. So how do we handle these? Well, difficult to sum up in this short vlog, and it'd be better for you to book me on a self-protection course when we can go into full detail and we can go through the various different games and exercises in order to better train you, and if you run a business, your staff, in better handling these situations and recognizing them. But to make it very simple, a socially violent situation is best dealt with using empathy. Empathy is your weapon, believe it or not. It's your tool, if you like. And it's not harder than most people realize. So especially when you are triggered. So the first thing you've got to be able to do is you've got to bring yourself down. You've got to de-escalate yourself. You've got to recognize that you are in what Rory Miller, self-protection teacher I respect, calls the monkey dance. So don't get into the competition. Don't get into the rivalry with a socially violent person. Your job is to bring yourself down. And that means it doesn't mean that the stuff that's being said is fair or should be tolerated, but in a certain circumstance, when you are trying to prevent a violent situation from happening, you've got to find common ground with them. You've got to find a solution. And that means bringing your own feelings down, as in if your feelings are heightened, so that you can ride this out with them. But most importantly, you need to intercept it to bring them down. Get empathetic. Look for what the problem is that they're facing and try to connect to it on certain levels. Everyone's entitled to a bad day. There'll be plenty of times where you acted irrationally, where you got emotionally upset in a situation and didn't act in a way that you'd be proud of. There are many examples probably in your life where you have said things that you haven't meant. And you've unfairly treated people. Well, now this person is being you in that circumstance. So try to connect on that level. Try to find a solution. Try to be empathetic. Bring it down so they don't see you as that opponent, but rather as their ally. The predator, well, they don't need to be de-escalated, that's for sure. They might feign anger and things like that, but they have got a different motive and they have got different intentions. So for them, it's a setting boundary situation. And this might be someone you're in a relationship with. So And in most circumstances, it probably will be when it's predatory violence. It's very unlikely to be the stranger that strikes from the shadows. It's more likely to be the partner. It's more likely to be the family member. So recognize those signs and set those boundaries. Understand who you can trust and keep those people within that circle of trust, and be very careful on who you trust outside of that particular circle. Set your boundaries, get them in place, understand the early warning signs of their behavior, manipulative behavior. Predators need boundaries. You need to set those boundaries. You need to recognize them early on. And that's the nature of dealing with a predatory assault. So, if you're interested in my material, if you're interested in my content, and you want to hear more about handling these situations in depth, and for me to come and train you or your team, please get in contact. clubchimera.com.